Greetings fellow gamers, I'm the Soulsborne Seeker and today I'll be reviewing Guns of Fury, a retro-inspired run-and-gun Metroidvania game developed by Gelato Games and released on the 13th of February 2025 for PC. The story takes place in a not-so-distant dystopian future where all energy sources have nearly depleted, causing humanity to suffer. However, just as all seems lost, a brilliant scientist by the name of Dr. Klaus announces the discovery of the Tetra Cell, an element capable of immense energy production, which could very well be the solution to the energy crisis plaguing the world. 48 hours later, Dr. Klaus mysteriously vanishes and his laboratory is destroyed, an act for which accusations are aimed toward Easton, an industry tycoon who is believed to want the Tetra Cell in order to develop a new superweapon. You are Vincent Fury, a special operative who is tasked with infiltrating the secret facility of Easton Industries in order to save Dr. Klaus and retrieve the stolen Tetra Cell before it's too late. As you'll quickly come to understand while playing the game, narrative is not really something that plays a huge role here, but rather acts as a framework for the wanton destruction you will wreak upon the legions of enemies the game will throw at you, though I still appreciated the scattered instances of dialogue I got to see, which did a good job of effectively communicating the story happenings in a way that paid homage to cartoons and arcade video games of the 90s, making the whole thing incredibly nostalgic. In terms of setting, the map turned out to be much more diverse than I would have anticipated from a secret lab setting, making full use of the landscape variety that could be present in such a hidden location by featuring places like jungle settlements, shadowed mines, abandoned towns, and industrial facilities, among others, each portrayed in what I consider to be one of the best pixelated art styles I have ever come across, offering a ridiculous amount of detail to every place, both before and after your violent passage through them, since a good amount of the environment is destructible, making you feel like a true killing machine as you pass through them like an all-guns-blazing hurricane. When it comes to exploration, that was another aspect of Guns of Fury that caught me by surprise in a positive way, since the sheer amount of optional collectibles present here was phenomenal. The game features a significant number of hidden areas, most of which are concealed behind breakable walls that either lead to entirely new rooms or immediately yield some sort of upgrade, though there are also certain areas for which you'll need to gain access to special mechs in order to move through them, which you do by first discovering specific keys for each of these robotic automatons. The game's collectibles are predominantly divided into 9 categories, namely character upgrades, main and secondary weapons, throwable armaments, melee weapons, accessories, consumables, special items, and finally treasure pieces. Character upgrades refer to certain items that increase your health and ammo capacity, as well as items which grant you special abilities such as double jumping and pogoing. Main weapons refer to a large collection of pistols you will get to discover, which do not require ammo, meaning you can shoot infinitely with them without worrying of going empty. Secondary weapons correspond to an even larger number of armaments you will find, which range from shotguns and grenade launchers all the way to a sniper rifle, ice gun, and plasma cannon, just to name a few. These secondary weapons are dependent on your ammo capacity to be utilized, which you restock by picking up ammunition boxes dropped by enemies, using ammo consumables you find, and finally saving at the game's save points, which also heal you. What's interesting about these secondary weapons is that, aside from their destructive properties when it comes to combat, some of them are also used to reach previously inaccessible areas. For example, the sniper rifle can be utilized to shoot at levers and other interactable objects that are out of your reach, the RPG gives you the option to manually navigate its missiles to do the same thing, and the ice gun turns enemies to huge blocks of ice which you can use as platforms to reach higher ground, with all of these possibilities really encouraging you to think outside the box when dealing with a place that may seem inaccessible. Throwable weapons, as the name suggests, are a large list of arms that you can throw at enemies, which mostly consist of explosive devices such as various types of grenades, C4 and dynamite, all of which are used at the cost of the explosives gauge in the same way that secondary weapons cost ammo, and with said gauge being replenishable similarly to the ammo gauge. Melee weapons are used to make short work of your enemies in close quarters combat at no cost whatsoever, and can be quite fun to take out foes with once you get the hang of things. Accessories refer to a variety of different equipables you will find which offer certain benefits, such as allowing your bullets to pierce armor, granting you a degree of protection against fire damage, and giving you the ability to detect breakable walls, just to name a few. Consumables are one-use items you utilize to either replenish your health, such as food and medicine, or ammo and explosives boxes to replenish the corresponding gauges. Special items are necessary for you to either interact interact with special places you find across the map, such as finding a decoder device which you then use to gain access to an optional vault, or quest items necessary to complete a few tasks given by NPCs in exchange for helpful rewards. Finally, treasures correspond to a large number of valuable items you will discover, which grant you dollars, the game's currency, that you then use to purchase items from the various merchants you'll find during your mission. Exploration is complemented by a decent fast travel system in the form of these trucks, which you can use to drive between biomes in an expeditious manner. If there's one thing that I feel could have been better here, that's the fact that the quality of the map overview could have been more efficient. On the good side of things, Guns of Fury allows you to place manual markers of different colors anywhere you want, though a limited number of them. It also color codes merchant and fast travel rooms and marks save points with a red dot, all of which are very helpful. Now, the two issues I have here are the following. First, I couldn't find any way for collectibles to be automatically marked on the map, meaning that you should start using the manual markers immediately to save yourself some trouble later on. To the game's defense, you do eventually find an item called Metal Detector, which allows you to find breakable walls by using a proximity meter that I thought was fairly efficient, but I still think it would have been a good idea to at least have the map automatically mark collectibles you have found but cannot access yet. My second issue is related to what I mentioned previously about special items usable in special rooms. Namely, I would have wanted the map to color code rooms in which a special item is necessary for you to access some optional content, like the aforementioned vault room. By the end of the game, I had two special items for which I couldn't remember the location of use, with my only option being to go through the map with a fine-toothed comb in order to find them, which is an exercise in frustration. Aside from these two issues, I found the map to be quite alright, especially in combination with the aforementioned metal detector. In terms of platforming, while I didn't expect to come across any acrobatic segments here given the game's intense focus on combat, I was once again pleasantly surprised to discover that Guns of Fury required some solid gymnastics and creative thinking when it came to reaching some of its more obscure areas, sometimes by forcing you to weave traversal abilities together in order to get to your goal. You should by no means expect any lengthy platforming gauntlets here because combat is absolutely the focus, but be prepared for some decently tricky sections if you wish to go for 100% completion rate. Combat-wise, that is without a doubt the foundation and main selling point of Guns of Fury, and it is my complete pleasure to report that it is stupendously fun. While I usually refrain from referencing other games during a review, I would be remiss if I didn't at least acknowledge the influence of the legendary Metal Slug series on Guns of Fury, a game IP infamous for its hectic battles and wanton destruction, whose spirit is definitely felt while playing this title. There's an infinite number of ways with which you can wreak havoc upon your enemies given the large amount of weapons at your disposal. Whether you shoot a hail of bullets with your pistol, blast at your foes with a shotgun, beat the living daylights out of them with a pipe, or absolutely obliterate everything in sight with your plasma gun, Guns of Fury will make you feel like an unstoppable force of nature as you take down both hostiles and setting alike in a beautiful display of screams and explosions. Clashing against the countless opposing soldiers and their increasingly deadly vehicles never got old for me, with the game's hectic pacing constantly keeping me engaged until the very end. Said solid pacing is also attributed to the efficient improvement of your damage output, since the game does a good job of frequently presenting you with more powerful weapons, providing a nice sense of progression as your adversaries become more and more demanding to beat, with some of the most intense altercations offered here being none other than the bosses. Speaking of bosses, I'm happy to say that Guns of Fury successfully delivered in pitting you against a group of incredibly entertaining big bads, each one completely different from the other as much in visual presentation as in attack patterns, offering some of the most hectic bouts in the genre, which did bring to mind the insane boss fights of the Metal Slug series, whose influence shines here as well. Whether it is massive robots, colossal vehicles of mass destruction, or enemies closer to your size but with considerable firepower at their disposal, every battle felt unique and fresh, with an overall sense of challenge that came across as quite balanced, though I did find a few of the bosses on the easier side of things, but not by a lot. As for difficulty, I'd situate Guns of Fury on the normal to slightly challenging side of things, with the occasional spike in certain situations which were mostly connected to some of the bosses. I have to say that I thoroughly enjoyed the feeling of balance here, with enemies rising in challenge at a steady pace so that they didn't become pushovers, but never to a point where they became spongy or unfair, and bosses that fully rewarded pattern recognition even if things may have seemed dire at first contact. Here I should also mention that the game has a new Game Plus mode available, which features more difficult enemies and allows a lot of your equipment to carry on from your previous playthrough, so there's that as well for those who want to try their hand on a more challenging experience. When it comes to length, it took me 12.5 hours to finish Guns of Fury with a 94% completion rate and 2 out of 5 endings unlocked, with what I assume to be an additional couple of hours for 100% completion depending on your observation skills, though I honestly don't know how you achieve the endings I couldn't get, so take my speculation with a grain of salt. In conclusion, I had a blast playing Guns of Fury. I adored the sense of power and destructive force evoked by its combat, I was pleasantly surprised by the amount of exploration present, I thoroughly enjoyed the limited platforming challenges available, I loved the vast number of weapons and accessories at my disposal, and found the bosses to be incredibly fun. The map could have been a bit better when it comes to marking collectibles, and it would have also been great for it to color code rooms where special actions are available to save you some time with exploration, but this felt like a minor issue to what was an otherwise nostalgically entertaining experience. Guns of Fury is unapologetically mindless fun with several instances of unexpected depth, and a Metroidvania game that I believe deserves a spot in your game library. My final verdict on Guns of Fury is 8.5 out of 10. What did you think about Guns of Fury? Have you played it yet? Do you agree with the points I mentioned, or do you see things differently? Let me know in the comments below, and please subscribe if you enjoyed this video. As always, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, Soulsborne Seeker out!